Hello friends, welcome back. Welcome to the concepts of CISSP. So what we are discussing today? We are discussing the third architectural principle in ISO IEC 19249, which is encapsulation. Encapsulation is a familiar topic if you are coming from software engineering background or networking background, right? Because in both the worlds you discuss this topic of encapsulation. In software engineering, you discuss the topic of object-oriented programming, where you define objects, class, you discuss inheritance, and then you discuss encapsulation, right? In networking, you discuss encapsulation in terms of the packets and frames and segment, right? So the same message which is transferred from a computer A to computer B, once it travels through the networking interface, what happens that the electric signals gets a definition or get encapsulated into a logical entity which is called frame. Now frame is again encapsulated into something which is called packet, used to route the data from one network to another network, and the packet is encapsulated into a TCP or UDP segment. So these are the encapsulation understanding we carry from our experience. Now how CISSP defines the topic of encapsulation, or how ISO IEC view this topic of encapsulation. If you read the text from the book, it says that encapsulation is an architectural concept, as we all know, because we are discussing the architectural principles. So encapsulation is an architectural concept where objects are accessed only through functions. So there is no direct access in the case of encapsulation, we should understand. So you can access an object directly, or you can access an object through functions. So if you are accessing an object through function, you are essentially using the feature of encapsulation. Now these functions logically separate functions, right? So you may have 10 different functions to achieve 10 different tasks, right? So where objects are accessed only through functions which logically separate functions that are abstracted from their underlying object by inclusion or information hiding within higher level objects. What do you mean by that? These functions are actually an abstraction of the lower level details, right? So you may have a program which will achieve certain function, and it will act at some abstraction level, and there will be 3 or 4 more programs which will be called by a different class or different object, and that will serve a different function. So this kind of hierarchy can exist, right? Now pictorially you can see that, like, you have a function fx, function y, which I have shown here, and then you have an object x. So object x is being accessed by some user using function y, right? So this function defines and mediate all the access, and if the function is bypassed to access the object, we say that there is a possibility of covert channel, or the path which we do not know. So it's a security breach. So if we define a function, encapsulation function, to access an object, all the access requests should be 100% mediated through that function. Now you can think of an object as something, right? In my drawing I have shown this cycle here, bicycle here, right? So there is an object, and there is a wrapper which will wrap around this object, right? So this is called encapsulating function or encapsulation function, right? So encapsulation function defines how the object will be accessed, right? Or how the request of a subject will flow from subject to the object, right? It will include the feature of functionality, and it will include the feature of security as well. So the proper encapsulation requires that all access or manipulation of the encapsulated object must go through the encapsulation function, which I have already explained, that there should be no access which will bypass this encapsulating function. If it happens, then the encapsulation is weak, right? Also, it should not be possible to tamper with the encapsulation of the object or the security attributes of the encapsulation function. So not only the access request should pass through the encapsulating function, but the encapsulation function itself should be tamper proof. That's the second consideration we should have in mind. That's all about encapsulation. I think this is very well understood. It's easy to understand. Thanks for watching the video, and if you like this video, put a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for similar content, and best of luck for CISSP exams.